creme brulee. Like, that
Yeah.
is kind of fancy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I got it recording. We're good.
No,
I fixed it.
No. Who else is RT? So I couldn't go into orientation because I was in my assistantship orientation. So I don't really even know who's RT.
There's like 5.
That'd be sweet.
That's okay. No, you're fine. We're just waiting for people to log back in. I think we're good. Mute. Good. All right. I mistakenly gave you guys permission to log into class before I got there, and that makes whoever logged in first the host. So way to go, whoever was logged in first, but that can't be. So fixed it. Now you guys can't log in until I actually open class. So if you get to class before I get to class, virtual class before I do, it'll say this meeting is waiting to start. And then when I open it, it will let you in. So there goes. All right, so tech happiness, everybody feels okay. I will take attendance every week just so that I can track who's here and who's not, especially since we have asynchronous people. On that note, let's go to our syllabus. And I will share it with you guys. Share screen. Put it up here super nice and big. Okay, everybody can see that? Okay, well, welcome to Applied Research and Rec Therapy. Here in 285 and in the virtual world, there's our link, always there, ready to go. I'm Dr. Townsend. Many of you I know already, some of you I don't yet, but we will get to know each other today and well over the course of this semester. I know a few of you online students, but not all of you, so everybody will get a chance today to talk and introduce yourselves. So Applied Research and Recreational Therapy Practice. So this class is about research and practice. Whoa, right? We developed this class because we felt like there was a need for more research skills amongst practitioners. So our graduate degree is an advanced practice degree. So the expectation is that you've already taken all of the RT class, basic RT classes, maybe even practiced already, and then now you're coming back to get a little bit more knowledge to be a better practitioner or a faculty member, future faculty member who are teaching future practitioners. And research is a huge part of that skill that we think is underdeveloped in most practitioners, and so we're trying to help develop that back up. So, I mean, we'll talk about a lot of philosophical things that some rec therapists don't agree with, and some people do in terms of research and the knowledge base required to be a rec therapist, an entry-level rec therapist. We'll talk about that in this class. And I don't think we need to be afraid of saying things that some people don't like to talk about, like whether or not we should be a master's level entry rec therapy. Da, da, da. You know, so that's a bad word to some people, and we're going to talk about it in this class. And how it pertains to research and practice. I don't want to go through all the crazy details in here because you guys have probably already looked at this and you can spend more time looking at it. I'll just highlight some things. No book. Woo! All the readings are already posted online. If there's anything else, I'll add to it, but probably won't. In completing this course, we want you to be able to have skill in being able to do a literature search, be able to be a good consumer of research. Through the course of your graduate program here, you'll be able to produce research, but this class is a lot about consuming research and trying to get that understanding of kind of who's responsible for doing that. Oh, look, my video is not on, sorry, distracted. We want you to develop a scholarly writing voice in this class, and so if you're going to produce research, you should be able to write it in the appropriate way. And so you'll get practice in doing that starting in this class, and then every class you'll take through the graduate program will just build on that. And since you guys are all here in person and those of you online, it's a little bit slightly different. You still have to do a project, but a thesis or a project you got to write in the correct voice on that one. So we'll work on that in here. Hopefully you can come out of this class with something that would be worthy of a presentation at a conference, whether it's a local thing like JEV or at our national conference at ATRA next year. You should come out of this class with something that if you want to, you can present on that. And if you're like, well, presenting at a national conference, we can co-present. Okay, so I'm not just gonna like throw you out there. But if you want a solo, go right ahead. So that's what most of those learning outcomes are about, is kind of developing your ability to be a scholar in the research world. So let's just jump right into our assignments. Course requirements. Our weekly questions and commentaries, right on there. It's 50 points. I'm sorry. Read the articles and chapters that are posted. You got to have 3 comments and or questions. And they should be substantive, whatever, of substance, right? Okay, so in previous years, people have just used this assignment as I'm going to take notes while I read, and then they turn in their notes. No. It's got to be something more than regurgitating the information and more than just, oh, I liked this article, or this was cool. Okay, so I mean, they're only worth like 6 points each or something, 50 total, and I think there's 8 of them over the course of the semester. So, 1 or 2 is not going to kill your grade if it's just like, well, I didn't have time to really get into this, but don't make that a habit. And I do incorporate their comments and questions into class. And so I read them every week before class, which is why I have you post at noon, so I have enough time to read by the time class starts at 6. So please do something worthwhile because it helps the class go. This is not a lecture-based class, so I won't just sit here. I think we have like 1 day of PowerPoint or 2 days of PowerPoints. And so if you guys don't engage with me, whether it's through the discussion threads in the week or in class, then it's going to be a rough 2.5 hours. I will say that this is my 4th time teaching this class, and I developed this class. Every time I've taught it, it's gotten better. And the students engage more and more. And so I'm like raring to go for this time. I think it's going to be great. And for those of you that I know, I feel like you guys are good contributors, for class. So hopefully we'll have some really good, meaningful discussions. Last year was a really great group of students, and they were so energized by this that they put together 4 different presentations for ATRA straight out of this class. So none of them got accepted, but whatever. They were like, we got to tell everybody about this, so maybe something like that will come out this year. And if we have like a repeated every year, all these presentations being submitted to ATRA because of what we learned in this class, maybe ATRA will decide to accept some of them, like get with the program. This is an important topic. That's my pie in the sky type of a perspective on that. Okay, so our first real assignment is doing like a week. It's not too bad. Is it a week or 2? It's your topic identification and initial literature search, TIS form. Okay, and it's called the TIS form. Basically, we're going to start talking about a research topic in this class. For those of you doing a thesis or a dissertation, this might be exactly what you want to do your research on. For those of you just starting the project process online, this might be your project topic. So this is the place where we can start to cultivate that idea. And it's going to start out really broad and chunky and yucky, and we will refine it as we go. We'll refine it through discussion with everybody, which is why everybody should engage in it. If you really like that idea and you want it to be your thesis or your project, keep on writing about it in all of your other classes, and other faculty will weigh in and give their perspective. And that's really beneficial because we all have different takes on things. And, don't waste your time in writing 10 different papers for 10 different classes on 10 different topics. Mm-hmm. Write it all on your thesis or your dissertation or your project. That's the best use of your time. So that our coursework is structured in such a way that this class is meant to be the first one where you start talking about it. In the spring, you'll take research methods. There's a few of you online students who started in the spring and you got research methods first, so it's a little bit backwards, but still works. But this is the time to like hash it all out. And so if you have to scrap an idea halfway through, maybe for the purposes of class, you just keep on going with it to finish it. But if that's not your thesis idea, it's okay too. So, but we have to get started on it right away because you're going to write about it. You're going to read a lot about it, as much as you can find about it, and then you're going to start writing about it. And so we cannot wait to get that idea figured out. So we'll start talking about that tonight. Ooh. It's not so bad, guys. All right, we'll do an evidence table. So has anybody ever done an evidence table? There's a form, a template online. Use the template. Same thing with the PIS form. Use the templates that I give you. Basically, as you come up with your topic, I might ask some questions to just clarify it a little bit. We come up with a good topic. It gets approved by me. After that, you will start filling out an evidence table where you will search for, I think, 8 or 10, somewhere in there, I think 10. 10, I wrote it in there, good thing. 10 articles and that pertain to your topic, and then you need to start pulling important details out. So what kind of methods did they use? What was their analysis? What were their conclusions or recommendations or anything like that? What was their sample size? That makes consuming a lot of literature all at once really manageable when you can put it into a form. So then once you start writing about something, you don't have to keep going back to those articles all the time. You can just go to your evidence table. So I'll show you guys, when we get to this point, I'll show you an example of an evidence table that I did that turned into an article that got published. But I literally cut and pasted quotes out of these articles that I loved. I was like, I'm going to cite that when I start writing. I put it in my evidence table with the page number on it. That way, when I did start writing, it was already there. I knew kind of what I wanted. And if it wasn't exactly, I kind of knew where in the article to look instead of having to go through 20 pages fresh every time. So evidence tables, if you do them right, can be really, really useful. Or they can be not worth the paper they're printed on. So I would say use it as a tool. But you got to do one. Everyone will do one. Okay, the big assignment in this class will be either the annotated bibliography for master students or a lit review conceptual paper, whatever, for the doctoral students. We need a little bit of a leveling element there for the doc students in this class, but the details are here. The annotated bibliography for master students, you guys will go through each one of those articles and talk about some specific things, 1-page write-up for each one. So in total, it will be 10 pages. You know, you'll have all semester to work on it. Don't wait till the very end, you know, but you'll have to read all those articles. And I talk about what to, and I'll give you more of a template than this to kind of follow. But really the point is how useful this is going to be applied to your project or thesis or whatever, that topic. Hopefully out of the 10 articles, they're all useful, because I don't want like, this one was garbage, I'm not going to use it. That's not useful in an annotated bibliography, okay? So we got to find 10 useful articles. You're going to find probably 100 not useful articles and only 10 that will work out really well. So don't give me the stuff that doesn't work. That's the annotated bibs. Lit review or conceptual paper for doc students. We'll talk more about the difference between some of the papers that you can write. This, I believe, not exceeding 8 pages, which is going to be hard. I know. Are you a very verbose writer, or it's hard to
like I think I can write okay. I mean, you read my letter
a long time ago.
But yeah, no, I just have like anxiety about writing in general.
Okay.
So.
Well, we're going to dive right into it.
Right. Yeah.
It's really hard to write succinctly. But you know, the reality is a lit review in your dissertation is going to be like 15 to 20 pages long.
Yeah.
Not published, but I mean, it won't be that long when you get it published, but I don't know. It's a weird thing, but we have to start. And on top of it, I can't read 15, 20 page things. And so the page limit is more for just manageability for me to grade. But still, so I used to have this be there was no page limit option, just write what you needed to write to tell the story. But then I got into trouble with grading because that took so long to read and grade. And I don't just like read stuff and write a grade on it and give it back. I give extremely detailed feedback when it comes to writing. And that's what you need at the graduate level in order to become a scholarly writer. The best way to do it is to read a lot and then get good feedback. And so it's a give and take. You guys do the reading and I'll give you the feedback. But it takes a while to grade. So the 8-page really is like a strict 8 pages, and that's not including references. So 8 pages of text and then however many pages of reference. I will challenge the doctoral students, so those of you online and in person, to get that published. And I will work with you to get it published. So part of the process of writing this paper is identifying a journal that you would want to publish in. And it does not have to be a rec journal. In fact, I would encourage you to look outside of our journals. And we'll talk all about that in class this semester. But for doc students, as you're progressing through your PhD program and then moving into life as a faculty member, publications, it's all publish or perish, right? And so if we start now, then that's good. I have 2 students who have submitted their work from last year's class, and it's in review right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean,
It wasn't denied or declined.
not yet, it's still in review, no rejections yet. So it could be really beneficial for you and for me too. So I'll work with you and we'll be co-authors. So like once the semester ends, I mean, I will read your papers and give you feedback like I'm your professor. And then as soon as I put that final grade in there, I become your co-author. And so the writing is different. And so we can write together afterwards. I don't expect that it would be like, January, let's submit. Those 2 papers didn't get submitted until the summer this year. So it took like 6 months to get them to the point where they were ready. And that's okay. Just as long as in this class, we get it started and then we'll work on it as we go. So if you have anxiety about writing, don't worry. Get it started.
Like, I did my master's project and it ended up being like 150 pages. The program aspect of it. But no, I'm working with Jen. I have a special edition for After right now. So I have a little bit.
Okay, good. So you know then.
A little, yeah.
Yeah. It's not totally foreign to you.
Just to make me nervous.
Well, hopefully it won't be too bad. I got stories for you about publishing, but we'll talk about that another time. Okay, so then our other element is a knowledge translation plan. So we've just gained all of this knowledge about a topic. Now what do we do with it? If we're talking about this application to practice, well, it's not just enough to read stuff. If we want to influence practice, we got to do something with it, right? So there's a whole concept called KTP, or knowledge translation or knowledge transition plan. Kind of hear it both ways. It comes really, I've read a lot about it in occupational therapy and in physical therapy, but not so much in rec therapy. And so this is kind of a little bit of a soapbox that I will get on in this class, and bear with me as we do that. But hopefully I'll get you guys all on that soapbox too, that we have to do something with the knowledge that we gain as consumers of research. And so that's what the knowledge translation plan will be. It will be a very super duper watered down version of your lit review. And then for the master's students, it will be the writing portion of your annotated bibliography. So you'll do your 1 page for each article, and then you will condense all that down into 3 pages, plus a visual, some type of visual representation of what you kind of learned about that. Something that's really easy to consume, that a practitioner can just be like, that's interesting. I can read 2 or 3 pages real quick of text instead of a 25-page journal article. And so I'll give you tons of examples and all of that. So you'll have an actual document for the KTP, and then you'll do a presentation at the end of the semester during finals week. There's no exam. It's just your presentation about your KTP. And so it'll be kind of like in a standard presentation format, 10 minutes, I think. How many do we have in this class? I think we have like 13 or 15. Yeah, it'll be about 10 minutes each. It'll be kind of crazy. That night of final exams will just be like presentation, boom, 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 all the way through. But I'll give you examples and a template and all that stuff to follow. Sort of a template. All right, attendance and participation, 75 points. You got to be here. You got to be engaged. And there's also a little bit of a rubric here in terms of how you're graded on those 75 points for participation. I do expect engagement and contribution to the class. And again, it's a rough 2.5 hours if nobody engages with me. I don't like to just listen to myself talk, guys. I promise I don't. I talk a lot, but I would prefer that you guys talk in there. Office hours, I think on the top of my syllabus, I put on there Thursday 1 to 2. Yep, Thursdays 1 to 2. I'm really available by email. You can swing by my office. I'm usually always around. Online people, I try to get back within the day that you email me. So if I'm on my computer all day, like I was today, I was like boom, boom, boom with emails all day today. Usually I'm not always that quickly responsive. I just had a lot of sit there and do it work today. But feel free to swing by. I don't reply to emails on the weekends or after 5 p.m. I have 2 small children, and when I get home, it is like Mom. Okay, so if you email me at night and need something the next morning, it's not going to happen. I won't get it. So just kind of try to keep that in mind. Class attendance and participation, the rest of all this stuff you guys can read, but these I feel are the important policies here. Because we meet once a week, if you miss class for not an excused reason, it's going to drop your grades significantly because that's a lot of class to miss. We go over a lot of content in 1 week. And I'm sorry that it's like a harsh grading thing, but past semesters I've tried to like do this. Well, I'll work with you, and I do want to work with you, but if you miss like 3 weeks in a row, I don't know how you're going to make that up. I mean, actually I do. So you can watch our recorded videos if you miss class. If you write a 1-page summary about it, email it to me before the next class, then you can erase that absence. But if you don't do that, it's just an absence, and enough after one absence, it's going to start a full letter grade reduction. Okay. So I feel like that's pretty forgiving in terms of the fact that we have recorded classes and you can watch that anytime you want at your leisure. Okay. In that week, but make sure you write that 1-page summary of what we talked about in class and just get it to me. It doesn't have to be like a crazy document formatted APA or anything. It could be in an email, but it needs to be within the week. For our online students who cannot attend synchronously, we have 4 of you. You must watch every week. I'm talking to you guys, you know who you are, and write that 1 page, and that's considered attending class. And yeah, if I don't get that 1 page, I'll consider it an absence. And I probably won't check in with you and be like, hey, where's your 1-pager? Because I can't manage that. So that's on you. Any questions about attendance? It's weird to take attendance in a grad class. I used to not take attendance, and that came back and bit me in the butt. So now we have attendance. Sorry. Okay, I have to point out late assignments. I generally don't have a late assignment acceptance policy. I don't take it. And the reason for that is because everything goes really fast, only meeting once a week. And I time assignments so that I don't have both of my classes happening all at once. And so when things come in late, it backs up into the other classes. So I try to stagger things. And so I really don't accept late work. That's it on that one, unless it's like a dire emergency. There are no exams in this class. If you need some type of accommodation, let me know as soon as possible and we can work that out. It's not a problem at all. I think that's it. Don't drop this class, it's required. And we'll do evaluations at the end. All right, to the part you guys want the most, our class schedule. Dun, da, da, da. I have a lot of travel this semester. And so I have in here that we will meet online while I'm at conferences. We'll see how that works out. Because it really kind of depends on hotel Wi-Fi, and if there are thousands of people on that Wi-Fi because it's at the conference hotel and we might just have to cancel, but we'll work, kind of be flexible with me on those weeks. There is 1 week where I'm in Thailand and I cannot meet at all because that's like 12-hour time difference, and nope. So that's in October. We'll just totally cancel that week. We have readings almost every week. As you can see, we've got some spaces in there. They're not bad. I mean, that's my opinion, but I know I probably am a little bit biased on that. I feel like it's totally doable to get these readings done in a week, and to have commentary about them, questions and commentary. Please do the readings. It's very hard to engage in this class if you don't do the readings. And that goes for any graduate class, but definitely one that's not lecture-based. Jake, go ahead.
On week 7, it says all PhD students meet online. What about the master's?
Master students that's an off week. Sorry, I can update that. But
okay.
For the doctoral students, I need to do a little bit of outline development with your lit reviews that I don't have to do with the master students because you guys aren't doing lit reviews. And so I will just meet with you guys. We'll just schedule a time to meet. It could be during the day, although I will be at that conference. I don't know. We'll work it out sometime to meet in lieu of class, just the doc students.
Is that accurate?
No, it's a different conference that I'm going to.
When is that true?
It's actually in like 3 weeks, but it ends on Tuesday, so we'll have class Wednesday.
Which conference is that you're doing on the 4th?
October 4th. The R4 conference is a military conference. Yeah. have a question? Anybody else? Okay. All of these readings are already in that folder, so you should be good. You can see I've really planned things out in terms of assignments and when they're due. So let's keep on track with that because it keeps you going throughout the semester and doesn't let it turn into, oh crap, my lit review is due next week and I haven't started. Because that is not good for you and not beneficial really for anybody. So stick to those. And we don't have a ton of flexibility in the due dates just because things will start to get backed up. And so let's just try to stay really on track with that. We do have a couple of, so Thailand, I'll be gone on October 4th. Online student or PhD students, I will meet online, and then master students, you guys don't have to meet that week. And then later in the semester, I'm at another conference in November, the week before Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure I can do that one, meet online, and we'll be fine with that one. I've been to that conference before, and they have fantastic Wi-Fi, so I can do that. We'll have class that night, but then Thanksgiving, and then we're out. So this is interesting because usually we have Thanksgiving, come back for a week, and then finals. So we get 2 weeks in between, so it's a little bit of a breather, but.
A student just came in. She said that she's having tech difficulties.
Thank you. Okay, we'll just let her kind of chat that in there. So any questions so far on the schedule? No? Okay. I can hear somebody typing, so it might be. Stop.
Oh, hi.
Oh, that might be why she can't see anything. Gina, can you hear us? Can you talk to us? Because I think I can hear you typing.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. I thought I didn't have a mic here. Okay, it's working. It wasn't working yesterday. Awesome.
Okay.
Oh,
Can
cool.
you see us okay?
Okay, much better. I was panicked. I couldn't get in. Having all kinds of computer. The crazy thing is I've had everything set up for over a week. So I'm like, huh. Anyways, I'm assuming that you just went over the syllabus.
Yes. Can you see us okay?
I can see everybody that's on. Jake, Candace, Kate. I don't have a camera right yet, so
Oh, okay.
that's who I can see, and I can see you.
Okay.
Can I just print off the syllabus elsewhere? Is it in Canvas?
Yes, it's in Canvas. If you've already downloaded it prior to today, I would throw that one away and go download the new one that I just updated today. So.
Okay, I'll do that tonight then.
But it's always in Canvas, so I mean, if you want to save trees, don't print, but that's up to you.
Thank you. Again, I apologize.
No problem. And class is recorded, so after class, I'll post the recording in Canvas so you can go back and watch what you missed here at the beginning.
Great, thank you.
No problem. All right. Any questions so far about class, the syllabus, or anything?
The discussion due next Wednesday will be on the next batch of articles.
Yes. So
Is it just one article or multiple?
Oh, I'm sure.
it's 2 chapters in the book. And, well, there's no book, but no. I was going to have that in previous years. I was like, this has got to be the assigned reading, but it was insanely expensive, and we don't go through all the chapters, so I couldn't justify you guys paying that. So I photocopied them. I mean, it's obvious, but so
All our readings are that you talked about earlier in Canvas. The readings are in there.
yes, sorry. Gina, the readings are all in Canvas under files, and then there's a course readings folder, and everything's already in there.
Great.
There's no videos to watch, Abby, unless you miss class, and then you watch.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's all coming back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant videos, like actual like
Yeah.
videos.
No,
Okay.
no. So when I record class, like I just figured out the recording, I will have a permanent link to that video on YouTube, and then I will post that link in Canvas where I said discussions, and it'll say weekly class recordings, and I'll have the date on each one, and you just watch class there if you miss class. Now it's all making sense.
Yeah.
That was funny. The light bulbs all just went on.
On the one where there's blank spaces for the readings, obviously there's no commentary due that week.
Nope.
Cool.
So you'll notice when you read, you go to those commentaries in the discussion thread, it has the weeks.
Mhm.
There's not consecutive weeks because
Oh, that's right.
it corresponds to the syllabus week. So if you post in something that, you think you're posting in week 7 and it's actually the week 8 readings. No, I'm kidding. But there's blank spots there for the weeks we don't have readings.
Where it says begin filling out the forms or the tables
Here,
are those forms in Canvas?
Yep. in the forms folder. No.
TIS stand for?
Topic identification, lit search. I know it's wordy, so I just call it TIS.
So does the form explain how to do it?
Mhm.
It does?
But we'll go over it in class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
The homework, is that the week before or the week of?
So when you come to class on September 6th, so in 2 weeks, this TIS form is due. The homework is what you should continue doing after class.
Okay, so that's for after class.
Mhm.
Okay, not before.
Nope.
So we're going to learn about the TIS form next week.
We'll look at it today, and then we'll look at it again next week.
Then we'll do it
Like
this
due
week and
that
next
But it's due September 6th. Yeah.
week. We don't learn about today.
And I'll update you guys as we go. Like, don't forget, it's due next week.
Okay.
Although once we start getting into like the thick of the semester, I might forget to update you. So always come back to your syllabus. I got a lot of travel this semester. I don't usually go to 4 conferences or 4 big travel trips plus an international trip in one semester. That's just insane. I'm back for like 4 days in October, and then I'm gone to Thailand for 8 days, and then back for like 2 weeks, and then gone to a conference, and then it's just crazy. So in the midst, I got a State Department grant to do some adaptive sport programming in Thailand. It's a cultural exchange program. So I brought 12 people from Thailand to the U.S., and they were here 2 weeks ago in Park City, Utah at the National Ability Center. And then I'm going there in March, but to run my adaptive sport program there in March. But I'm going in October to do all the pre-planning. Yeah. And so it was
For the pre-planning?
awesome, but in the middle of the semester, I was like, oh, God.
Mm.
Did somebody say something online?
Yeah, I was asking, are you going to Thailand?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
To Chiang Mai, Thailand. If anybody knows where that is. Have you been there? I looked at the pictures as I was like kind of getting ready to do everything. I was like, "Eee."
My roommate might be going to Thailand in December because her boyfriend is stationed in, which is in Korea, whichever the one is not communist.
South Korea.
He's stationed there, and
Mhm.
so they're gonna take a trip to Thailand to spend time together. She hasn't seen him in like 6 months.
Mm-hmm. It's a good place. Southern Thailand is where all the beaches are, where people go and
Yeah.
do the vacation stuff. So when we go over in March, the adaptive sport program is over spring break, and then I'm just going to stay for a week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On that side of the world, right? Like, how often do you get over there?
Yeah, right.
So,
You need to sample
okay. I didn't know that was an activity to do. Maybe I should get on TripAdvisor and look that one up.
There's something called like Emerald Caves, and I think it's like you can go in the caves, like there's water, but it's like enclosed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that on my list. Check that out.
It's so cool.
Okay, so let's take a quick 5-minute break. And I'll try to do this it's 2.5 hours, and I know it's right during dinner time. feel free to bring your dinner in-class people. Online people, feel free to eat and make yourself dinner. And again, keep in mind, we're all looking at each other. Yeah. I've had people in past years are like, I don't like people watching me eat. And so they would turn their camera off, and that's fine as long as you're still kind of engaged. But let's take a 5-minute break and then come right back at 7:06 on the dot. And then, okay, so I want to figure out how to get the duo thingy on my watch.
Yeah, I feel like you can watch that.
Because I hate reading on my phone in class, like how I have to approve.
Yeah.
So what I just realized is what if people can't keep in my head is Monday's class for that.
Yeah,
research
yeah.
is going to be.
So what if someone
It's
doesn't
gonna
have a
affect-
smartphone?
I bet
Or
you
are you
could
talking about
probably
duo?
bet-
Yeah.
As long as you
But
have
I would bet
a
that there's another
device.
person
So it could be a
in class
tablet.
Well, then what if they have an old phone? Like they
Maybe
get on
one,
it? Like
but
I
you were
don't
the
understand
only other
technology that just
right
created,
there.
like,
We did this, that's
oh,
right. I keep
yeah.
forgetting that PRTM is so much more than just like
Yeah,
direct
employee
Um,
access.
yeah,
So I actually
I'm
have
not.
that.
It's like, I mean, I think I might go to the mid-year one. And
Well, now I wonder if
I
there's
actually-
a,
it's on the watch.
after it does an
if I
annual
can
and then
activate,
Right.
yeah,
Where's the
I don't
You
know
go
where
watch
the mid-year
part,
is.
and then,
you
I
can
might
turn
go
on
to
your
it
apps
just 'cause I
onto
know-
your
I'm not
phone.
an app
Just
rep
get it on this week. That's
since
when
I
we did it.
graduated undergrad.
Yeah,
in
it was
2015.
installed. Yeah.
So
Look at that. It's there.
I'd like
Show on
to go
Apple
again,
Watch.
but I figured
So then,
like just
every
starting it
time
out
you do it,
here.
it just goes
would be
and
too
you
much.
put
So
it through. And so I never have to like. have my
Oh
phone
yeah,
to-
that's right.
So it's like a huge thing for
It makes
Oh
me
yeah,
feel
it's
just a little
huge.
bit
Yeah, I
better.
remember
A little
seeing
more
that
tech.
on
Well,
Facebook.
today I was
That's
like
pretty cool.
3 times I got prompted to do it. And so
now
now I thought about it.
That's
Can't
how
I just do
I'm
this
here
on my watch?
because when I
You
went,
paid the
I
big
won the
money
head
for the
college
watch.
You think you
scholarship.
should be.
I know.
Yeah, and
Everything
I met
I want
Marika
to
and Brent out of
Exactly.
college.
My
And it
birthday
in
was last week.
Pittsburgh.
My
Yeah.
husband got me the
And
watch,
they
and
started
so now
talking to
I'm
me,
like,
and I've been
I
planning
gotta
it or something.
Oh,
make
so
it
you're
worthwhile.
yeah.
Yeah, I've only had it for a week.
I might
It
see
was
September.
September.
Oh.
I really want
Yeah.
a new one coming out.
Just
The
series
buying
two?
and, like
The third
went up
one.
there on my
Oh.
own.
Oh.
and just-
This one's the series
Wow.
2.
Yeah.
I don't have the series
Dang.
1, so you do have the like better one.
I just
I went
Because
swimming
I
with it the other day. Yeah, I went swimming with it, and I was like,
Ah,
okay.
okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
an
a
undergrad
device.
volunteer.
yeah, there's a little button that you can push that, or a little, touch it,
he was like,
and it uses sound waves to get the water out.
That is the coolest thing.
And you can see it. It goes.
I turned that on every semester because I feel like I sweated
Yeah.
after 12 years.
A lot of water.
I have never
Yeah.
searched in water until the other day, and I was like,
Is
oh,
yours a series 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I was nervous. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
So
Have you used the GPS
yeah, I
side
met
of it?
them.
Because that
Well,
was
Peg
really
Connolly
cool.
was actually
Not
my
yet,
professor.
but I'm training
went
for a
to
half
last
marathon, and so
okay.
And so, and
it's
her
gonna
and
start
Jennifer
being used
Hinton,
frequently.
She comes here a lot.
I
She's
still
also
don't
a Western.
understand about it. Like
she
I always
was-
the activity app.
She was a student that comes for her
and, like,
PhD, and she
I
actually
can, like,
taught
see
Marika
emails that pop up
in
and
India.
I'll do a thing, but
That's
I
how.
don't
So
feel
like
I fully
they kind of
understand
hooked
how
me
to
up
use
too
it.
at
And I've had
the
it
after conference.
since like
And
early
so I like
2000s.
just, I guess we planned at that point to meet
Yeah.
again, and so I've
There's
been
days
going
I
to
really
visit
like
Clemson
it, and days I'm like,
since.
what am
But then
using
I
this for?
Well, I
saw
had a
that you
Fitbit,
had to have
and a
like 2
Fitbit
years
You
worth
have
of
to
it
do
before you could start
HR,
your
the
PhD. So I
heart
was
rate
like, well, I'll
one,
just take a break
and
from
then
school
I had it
for a couple
for
years and then come
2 years,
back.
and then it just
now.
totally bit the
So
dust. Like started
I feel
counting
like I'm,
backwards,
like,
was
the
possessed
oldest
after the thing. I was
person.
like,
I'm
get
like,
off my arm.
but like,
And then
I know, I was
so
like,
I did
you're
a second
done.
one,
I
and that
actually
one
know
only lasted a
Holly.
year.
She was
And I was
my
like,
best
oh, crap.
friends.
It's
We were
$200
RAs,
bucks.
and she was
Yeah.
her student.
And I mean, they
Yeah,
replaced
freshman
the
RA.
first one for
And
free,
we-
so
I
I
just
just got a
was like,
second one. They have a really good replacement. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
But
so, yeah. I mean,
I was like, I'm not
obviously
gonna
pretty
keep paying
expensive,
for it.
But I just feel like
If
I
for
it's
$50
weird
more, you can get
having
Apple
been
Watch.
gone for 2
So,
years.
I
I
didn't.
Apple's
it's
8 hours.
7 years.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
It's
and
still the
that's
hours
part-time
like
online,
but
completed full-time.
they're pretty good about it, I think. At least if it's in the first
And
year.
other things.
Do you have a
family
screen
things,
cover?
Yeah.
so
And
And
I-
it's not been scratched at all?
No, and I've had it since November. And I banged in the end like I thought I was like,
When I went
bang,
back-
and I was like, there's no like there's some scratches.
And then it was
maybe,
like
right
4
here.
years.
Yeah.
Like,
to
not on
do it
the glass part.
online.
Yeah.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
from, like,
I would have
the
guessed that you were
break or something.
my
Sure.
age.
No, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be
Wow, yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
You're
I'll
welcome.
continue
That's
using
impressive.
this.
Do it. Oh, I
I know
never do
I hear
that.
people tell me they've like just
I've never had
more
more
than like right.
Really?
Yeah, that's how often
Yeah. Somebody said
That's
you
so
have
hot.
old work. And
Yeah.
you're like, not prosperous.
Yeah.
With the staff now.
Mhm.
All right. I think we got everybody back. That was a very lively break discussion. I like it. There's been past years where it's just like crickets, and I'm like, so how was your day? Guys, we only have one guy in our class, Jake. And I have to say that because usually there's always like one token male in rec therapy classes.
I was gonna say.
But for a long time in our grad classes, it's only been girls. So welcome, Jake, to the fold.
Really? A lot of,
Not when I was there.
just on the online program.
Oh, yeah.
To graduate.
We had a couple.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Jake, I really think your glasses are cool. So when you first put them on the very first time, was it as life-changing as all the videos online have shown?
It was very different. And I kept walking. So I was walking around campus doing this, seeing what different things were, and I like walked up on a red car, and I did that, and it like immediately went from a very like deep dark red to like that's what red looks like. It was very vibrant and bright, and so then I said, all right, just to make sure this isn't psychosomatic, I went and did the colorblind test again. And I would start off with the glasses off, say, all right, that's a 1. Put them on, okay, that's 1. Click. 4, okay, 4. Click, nothing. That's a blue 8. I see a blue 8, and like it was crazy. It was a roller
So
coaster.
cool.
It was
Did
a
you
roller
cry?
coaster. Oh, totally.
Well, that's like all the videos, like the young kids are crying and even like the older people are crying about it. So I don't know. So that's very cool. Very
What
cool.
are the glasses called?
Yeah. What are they called?
I don't know. They were given to me as a gift.
Yeah. I think there's just one brand that does the color blindness glasses. And so, so Jake was in my online stats class this summer and I had the whiteboard up and I was drawing things out in a color that he couldn't see.
Yellow.
So then he told me, I can't see that. And I was like, oh, dang. Talk about not like the rec therapist. I totally got it wrong. So thanks for calling me out. And now I was going to say, remind me what color it works, but now you're good. But I won't use red because I know that's hard on everybody's eyes. So yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Well, okay. So let's go around and just take some time to introduce each other. And I will just throw this out into the recording, but for the online students who are asynchronous, who are not present in class right now, I would like you guys to put a little bio in the discussion thread for this week. So you'll notice there is a discussion thread for this week. Nothing was due this week, but I just want the 4 asynchronous people to tell us about yourself and who you are and where you are and what you're doing. And you'll get the gist of what we're talking about in class today. And then you can post that so we all can go in and read and get to know you. And if you want to post a picture with your smiley face, you're welcome to do that as well, but not required. So I'll start. Dr. Townsend, Jasmine, you guys can call me Jasmine, or Dr. T or Dr. Townsend. I answer to all of those. I know it might be weird for you guys to call me Jasmine. Abby and Haley are in our undergrad program. They'll introduce themselves, but yes, I'm Dr. T in those classes. But here you can call me Jasmine.
Hey, Jasmine.
I know. Well, I had you grabbed that and took it. Elizabeth Murphy is another one of our former undergrad, now grad student, and she's working with me on the Thailand thing. And we were in Park City and standing in the store at TJ Maxx taking our Thai people shopping because they were like, TJ Maxx. And they bought everything. And so we were standing in line and she's like, Dr. Townsend. And it was after a week of sharing a hotel room and doing all that. And I was like, just call me Jasmine. She's like, I don't think I can. So yes, you can. Anyways, tangent. So here we are in rec therapy. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got here for those of you who don't know me, and I'm sorry if you guys have heard this before. I know, snore. But I came into rec therapy backwards. So I worked in the field for a long time. I worked for 5 years in wilderness therapy and then 2 years in residential treatment center and then a year in adaptive sport community, rec adaptive sport. And it wasn't until after my 7 years in working in behavioral adolescent health that I learned what rec therapy was, really backwards. And I did my undergrad in history, totally not rec related, with a minor in PE, so really kind of out there in random land, right? But all the while I was working in the treatment program and was like, this is what I want to do. How can I do this? And I'd already progressed through my degree far enough. I wasn't going to change. And so I looked for grad programs, and I found a master's degree in outdoor rec, and I was like, yes, this combines like so much of what I want to do. And so I got into that program, and I was talking to the grad coordinator, and he said, well, what do you do? And I said, I work at this residential treatment center, and I run their ropes course, and I take them all on these off-campus experiential activities, and I'm doing like canoeing and hiking and rappelling and all this stuff, which is what I've been doing for like 10 years, like my personal life plus working in wilderness. And he's like, awesome, where is this? I said, at a residential treatment center. I'm the rec therapist. And he said, really? Tell me about that. And I said, I don't know what it is. They just gave me that label. And this is in Utah, in a state that requires licensure and certification. I had not ever taken a single rec therapy class in my life. I didn't even know it was a profession. And so he educated me. That was in my interview for grad school. Bad time to like reveal all that to the grad coordinator, right? Luckily they accepted me, and in the process of being there, he said, if you want to keep doing this, you need to take these classes and get certified. And I was like, okay, I'll never get certified, but I'll take the classes. But I remember sitting in his class, Intro to Rec Therapy, and I had been working in the treatment center for a while and having a lot of struggles. I had a clinical director, my direct boss, who didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing and why I would process the way that I would and all of those things. So intuitively, I was doing the job of a rec therapist. I kind of intuitively knew how to do it, but I didn't have any of the words to tell him why I was doing what I was doing. I couldn't explain like my thinking behind anything. I just said, because this is how you do it, which is not a good answer for a clinical director who's challenging you type of a thing. I went home crying a lot, and I always wanted to quit. My mom was like, not until you get another job. So grad school came knocking. But anyways, so I'm in that intro to rec therapy class, and he drew up on the board the leisure ability model. Tears started streaming down my face. Like clouds parted, rays of light came down, birds were chirping, rainbows everywhere. I mean, all of a sudden I had this tiny nugget of knowledge that had I known that when I was working in that crappy situation and I couldn't explain anything, that clinical director, I could have like been like, this is why I'm doing it. And this is why we do it the way that we do it. And that really opened my eyes to this whole profession of rec therapy. So then I was like, fine, I'll take all the other classes too. So I took all the undergrad rec therapy classes while I was doing my master's degree in youth and family recreation and outdoor rec. And that swayed me to rec therapy. And so went on to get my PhD in rec therapy. That's how I ended up where I am. And I have just grown to love this field. It makes complete sense to me. It just all clicked together. And I would say that I was not ever interested in research until I did my master's degree. And of course I was forced to do a thesis, forced with my arm tight behind my back. No, but I cried through all of my stats classes. I told these guys who I had in stats this summer that first stats class was painful. It was a whole different language. I didn't understand why we were picking yellow and white marbles out of a drawer and whatever the chances of doing did not make sense to me at all. But then when I had to do my thesis and I had to think about something applied to practice and how I could use research to do that, again, it just clicked and all came together. And I was like, this works. And the research bug bit me. And so when I kind of already thought I was going to go on to my PhD, and then was like, yes, I'm doing a PhD. I want to do dissertation. I want to keep doing research. I like this. And then when you do a PhD in rec therapy, your job options become pretty limited. Faculty. Mm-hmm. Or some, I don't know. You're a little overqualified to work in the field, in the profession, right? So faculty life it is, and I love doing research. And I love teaching this class about applied research because I had all the practice first and I saw all these issues and I was like, how do we fix this? How do we fix this? And it wasn't until I learned how to do research that I saw a path to fix some of those things. Now, not to say that I was going to be like, fix it all and pie in the sky, I can change the world. You know, that's a good perspective to take, I think, because you're positive and don't want to be a defeatist or anything. But we don't always change the world, but it's good to try, right? What is that cliche? Shoot for the moon and land in the stars. Okay, so so that's kind of how I got here as a faculty member. I was at Ole Miss for 2 years before I came here as their only rec therapy faculty member, and I did not love it. And then the option came open here, and so I just jumped right on over here. And most of my research focuses on veterans programming and adaptive sport and outcomes of rec therapy. So my brother is a veteran. I have like 5 cousins who've all been deployed. My brother's been deployed twice. I've seen the impacts of military life and deployment on my brother's family very intimately, and that sucks. And so I've kind of made it like my personal goal to help figure out what's going on and how rec therapy can best be used to help veterans reintegrate into their families and their homes and communities. And so that's what I'll use a lot of the examples of that in this class. When I stopped working in youth treatment, I transitioned into community rec and adaptive sport. And so I met my husband while I was doing my internship at the National Ability Center. He's a former Paralympic athlete. And so through him, I've really gotten dove deeply into the adaptive sport world. And so that kind of meshes very well with veteran rec therapy because it's a modality that's used a lot with them. And so that's kind of where my research is. So that's where I'll pull a lot of examples from as we're talking about stuff in class. And hopefully you guys are okay with me talking about that. But you guys can talk about your applied experiences as well in practice, because that's whatever you've got, use it, because that's the best way to learn. A random tidbit about me. So that's my background. I want a random tidbit about you guys. My pinky toes don't bend. I know it's really weird. I don't know why. All my toes bend, just not my pinky toes. So I'm like, yeah, okay. That's it. That's it. So let's just go around, introduce yourself, where your undergrad is from, why you wanted to come here, what your background is, and what your hopes are for the future with this degree, and if you have an idea about research, what you might want to think about while you're here in grad school, let's do that. And we'll switch between in-person and online people back and forth. So anybody want to go? Dun, dun, dun. All right, Heather and then Jake.
Oh, sorry, Jake. We'll be 2 minutes. Okay, so my name is Heather Torpy. I am from Indiana, and I completed both my bachelor's and my master's at Indiana University, both in rec therapy. I've been a CTRS for 12 years. I did 6 years in community-based behavioral health, and then I did 7 years in, that's not 12, that's 13. I can't ask you to read my phone. Oh.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi. Sorry, guys. Sorry you couldn't hear. I was just saying my name's Heather. I am from Bloomington, Indiana, and I completed both my degrees at Indiana University in rec therapy. I've been a CTRS for 12 years. I did 6 years in community-based behavioral health care, working specifically in programming and program management. And then I did 6 years in acute psychiatric care. With that, I was able to also move into oncology through a yoga-based recreation therapy program I created for the hospital. So why I'm here is for yoga and rec therapy. My study interest is, another one? Okay. Well, my study interest is for mental health or behavioral health. So utilizing yoga as a modality for stress management, leisure coping, and mood stability. That's what I like.
All right. Yeah. On to Jake.
She didn't give a random fact.
Okay, go.
So I'm Jake. I'm the token colorblind guy. So I'm extra special. This is me without my glasses. I am from North Carolina. Started off at East Carolina, majoring in ultimate frisbee and English ed on paper. Then ended up at Western Carolina, graduated from there with my undergrad in rec therapy. Did my internship in Savannah and got hired right there in children, adolescent, behavioral health, acute and residential, and they also have an adult building as well. And so I've been in behavioral health all 4 years, and I am here to get more involved in behavioral health and the Special Olympics. I've been doing that since I was in the 5th grade, and am really involved, and I'm actually on a unified team here, so I compete in the Special Olympics. And that's what I plan on doing my research project on. So yeah.
Okay.
that's what I'm here.
Wait, random factoids.
Colorblind.
Okay. Check. Colorblind.
My left pinky toe doesn't bend either because I broke it when I was like 5 or 6 years ago.
That is not the reason mine don't, but way to go. Okay, we'll come back to you. All right, another in-person person. Okay.
Side note, my brother is currently in the Navy and he just got back from his first
All
deployment.
right.
Got it.
So I am Claire Kelly. I got my bachelor's in rec therapy from Western Carolina as well. Let's see, I've been a CTRS for 2 years. Most of my experiences with older adults. I did my internship, and the past couple years I've been working with older adults in a couple settings, adult daycare, and then a skilled nursing facility. So I kind of feel like I am really interested in that still, but I kind of want to branch out with research now into different things. So I'm interested in working with the homeless. I also kind of have this really weird idea that I don't know if it exists in rec therapy, but trying to bring rec therapy into maternal health with like women who are pregnant. I just think that'd be really cool. I don't know if anyone does that yet, but I'm interested in that.
Let's see. I'm at
Clemson. So I was a Penn Connolly scholar, and I was at the ATRA
conference
for that 4 years ago, and my professors at Western, Penny and Jen, hooked me up with Marika, and she actually came up to me and was like, I know who you are. And so she brought me over to their little table, and we talked, and I, on the flight home, was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Clemson. And so that was 4 years ago. Here I am. So, yeah. Random thing. The one I keep coming to is that I have 2 cats, Hemingway and Hugo, and neither of them have tails.
Cool.
We didn't cut them off. They were born that way. So yeah, they're very cute. There is, don't know what that is.
Like the
I think that's all.
Reverb online. Is it still going? Did you mute yourself?
Oh, I can now.
Yeah, mute. Can you still hear the feedback? Okay. It's weird. I know. Sorry, guys. It just takes a while for all of us to get on the same page of how to keep the feedback from happening. If I teach from my class and have everybody online, or from my office, and so it's just me in there talking to my computer while everybody's online, there's never any feedback, but it's something with the mics and all of these laptops. So we just we'll figure it out. Okay. Thank you, Claire. I almost called you Gina. I was just looking at her name. Somebody online want to jump in?
Yep, this is Gina. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was late to class. I have in recreation I've been a CTRS for 17 years. I've been working in long-term care for over 30 years. I'm quite a senior master's student. I did my internship, however, at our psychiatric hospital because I thought I was going to switch for a while and found out that was not for me. I needed to be around the elders. They're my favorite people. The reason that I am going for my master's, there's a couple of them. One is I am a lifelong learner. I always wanted to continue my education. It just wasn't the right time. And then, Jasmine, I think it was you that came to one of our workshops in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
You? Yep. And talked about the master's program, and I got very excited about it. And in my earlier life, I worked, again, I came in the back door too. I worked as a nursing assistant, then worked in rehab, restorative, and had so many injuries I had to change departments. And they gave me a choice of medical records or activities. Well, I'm not a sit on my bottom all day long kind of gal, so I chose activities. I went, wow, there's a job like this for me, everything that I love to do, and worked under a really wonderful CTRS at the time, who took me under her wing and taught me a lot of things. And then I moved on to another facility, worked with another CTRS that was wonderful. But I did not have my degree and ended up losing my job because I was not certified. And so that's how I got back into school for my bachelor's. I went to Eastern Washington University. I'm originally from Seattle. I'm now in Colorado, in Denver. Living here for 17 years. And the other reason why I want to get my master's is because I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm not marketable again. So if it does come down to requiring recreation therapists to have their master's, I'm going to already be there. So, and also moving up in administration, you really have to have your master's as well. So you kind of get doubled out as a supervisor without it. A little tidbit about me. When I was 10 and 11 years old, I was a child actress and made 2 films, for educational films, and they were called Frogmothy 1 and 2. So that's my tidbit.
Can we find those on YouTube somewhere?
I have been looking for them, and they did combine the 2 into 1. And I haven't found it yet. So I've been looking to see if it pops up. So it was a fun thing to do when I was a kid.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Gina. Welcome to closing. All right. Somebody in person? Okay.
So should I turn on my microphone?
Yes. Just tell me when you turn it off so I can turn that back on.
Hello, everybody. My name's Hannah Foch. I went and got my undergrad in rec therapy at University of Toledo in Ohio, so I'm from the Midwest. I spent the last 2 years in Columbus working as a CTRS in acute pediatrics and inpatient adolescent and adult psych. I am here because, like Gina mentioned, I'm just really eager to learn more. I also saw myself continuing my education. And I really want to gain more knowledge so that I can be a stronger advocate for our field because I'm really passionate about what we do. And I've sort of experienced that lack of support. So I'm just really excited to learn more. I really love outdoor recreation, so I'm hoping to go in that direction. I've done a lot of volunteer work with the population and individuals with IDDD, and that is my favorite population to work with. So I'm hoping to do research in that area. And an interesting fact about me is that I love hippos. Before I knew they were really mean animals, they have always been my favorite. So people will notice that I always have like on my desk or wherever like either a picture of a hippo or like a ceramic hippo or something like that.
They're so cute.
They are. They're ugly cute. They're like Fiona the hippo from Cincinnati Zoo. That's like my favorite thing going on right now. So yeah, nice to meet you all.
Welcome, Hannah. All right, somebody online.
Can you hear me?
I have to unmute.
No, you're good.
Okay. I am. I did my undergrad at University. I'm originally. Is this for you guys?
It's not loud, but you're coming in and out. So it's like we catch every other word.
Oh, really?
That's better.
Let me adjust here. Okay. I did my undergrad at Central University. And I originally grew up south of where I'm at now, in the Lansing area, where I would have a job when I graduated. And I ended up moving to where I'm at now, and I sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't want to. Do you have headphones
I can go locate some here, just a second.
or like earbuds or anything like that? I think that might help because there's a lot of echo. Yeah. How about go find someone? We'll do somebody else. Go team. Okay. How about somebody else online? Shannon or Candace or Kayla or Kate.
I'll go. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm Shannon. I did my undergrad at Western Carolina University, like 4 of us or 5 of us or however many there are of us. I graduated back in 2013, which doesn't sound that far, but it is far. So I'm coming up on 5 years as being a practitioner. I worked Parks and Recreation with intellectual disabilities. I've worked in a drug and alcohol facility with females who also have eating disorders, and I currently work at the VA hospital at Nashville, Tennessee with veterans who have PTSD, anxiety, depression, traumatic brain injuries, substance abuse, and or legally blind. So I, for the most part, for the past 2 years, have been doing more adaptive sports with them because that's my background and that's what I really like to do. So we did programs such as like aquatic therapy, archery, golf, table tennis, fly fishing, different stuff of that sort. So we're kind of in the community being that patient. I'm trying to think. I took a bunch of veterans to the Golden Age Games. So if you've never heard about it, it's pretty cool. It's like our version of the Olympics for veterans who are 55 and older. And so this is the first year. The past I took 4 guys, and we came back with a gold, a couple bronze, and 4th place, which was pretty nice. So I was really proud of them. Quirk of mine, my background, my minor in college was dance, and so my background with that is in hip hop and ballroom. So I don't know if that's like funny or whatnot, but it's a tidbit.
Do you teach that to your veterans?
Not yet. I was going to do ballroom classes because a lot of them want to do stuff with their wives. So we will see if that is the next group to happen.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Side note, Hannah, do you know Rio James?
Yes.
Yeah.
We went to school together.
Yeah, that's so crazy. When you said Toledo, I was like, wait, I know another person from Toledo who just got here.
We figured out the week before each of us got here that we were both coming here.
Random
We both
sauce.
took
All
shoes
right.
off. Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
cool.
Yeah. We
Cool.
live across the street from each other too.
Here?
Yeah.
Weird.
So weird.
It was meant to be.
But awesome. It was really cool.
Okay, cool. That was a random tidbit I meant to ask you about.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. In person? All right.
Hey guys, I'm Molly. I went to Western Carolina like most people did here, I guess. I got my undergrad a year ago, and I did my internship with people with disabilities and physical disabilities. It was like half and half, and it was on leisure education for people with intellectual disabilities. And for the past year, I worked. Sorry, was I? No. Okay. And for the past year, I worked with people with intellectual disabilities. So I say that was probably my biggest passion going in here. I'm still kind of undecided what I want to work with or like on, but I like intellectual disabilities the most. And leisure education, probably. I like that a lot. So what was the other thing we were gonna?
Random.
Oh yeah. I guess one of my toes are bent weird too, but I think I broke it. I guess that's random. I guess everyone can share.
Okay, we all have weird toes.
I guess the only thing I like usually share is like I have a highly like a allergy to peanuts and nuts and stuff. So like I usually tell people that because everyone.
No, it's good to know. That's important.
I have a peanut allergy.
Oh,
My daughter has a peanut.
have
allergy.
it.
I live this life of telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, obviously online people don't need to know that, but it's like I accidentally ate peanut flour today and I thought I was gonna die. I was like the first day of school and I ate peanut flour, but I don't think it was like anything that.
Is it like breathe it and die, or is
Yeah.
it eat it?
It was like eat it and die because I actually was in Brazil in the summer and ate a pine nut and went into electric shock in Brazil. So
Did you have an EpiPen?
not with me. Not with me.
I
So I swelled up. I swelled up and was like crying my eyes out and I was like, this is me dying. Like I'm dying right here, guys. And so I shoved like 4 Benadryl in my mouth and went to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not a word though. You could like if they were eating,
Yeah.
if they were eating a peanut butter
Glad you woke up.
No, I just get a headache. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So if somebody has eaten like pad thai for dinner, you're gonna be okay if we come in here and have pad thai.
Yeah, you guys can have nuts in the room, anything like that. I don't know how your allergy is. It might be totally different.
I'm only allergic to peanuts.
Okay, I'm
And
allergic
it's
to
not
all
your word.
nuts.
Okay.
So, yeah, if y'all want to make this a nut-free zone, it would make me feel better.
Well, it makes me feel better. I just am allergic to bees.
Okay.
Like,
I will.
no.
I'll make sure that.
Well, I have 2 EpiPens on me, so we're good. So,
All right. Good info. Great info in general, but also the important death info. All right.
Usually have to share, so.
Okay. We'll go back to Holly.
All right, I'll try this. Can you guys hear me better now or no?
Sounds way better.
Way better? Okay. I hate using headphones and I haven't had to use it for a class before, but it's good to know. I'll just use them from now on whenever I have to speak. I did my undergrad at Central Michigan University in therapeutic recreation. And I grew up about an hour and a half from here in the Lansing area. So there was a much better job outlook for me there. And now I live in a very rural area of the state. And I have not been able to get a job as a CTRS. So I worked in assisted living as like a life enrichment director, but you can do that job with a high school diploma. It's not the same certification requirements, just licensing with assisted livings. So I did that for a couple of years. I worked for a nonprofit with like Head Start in their classrooms, working with at-risk youth. I worked in special education this past year. I've kind of been all over the spectrum. And originally, after I did my undergrad, I was contemplating going right into a master's program, but I couldn't find one that was strictly online because there's nothing in the state of Michigan that even has a master's program. So I finally stumbled upon Clemson this past year when I was looking at it again because I was fed up. I was like, I'm never going to find a job as a CTRS. I maintained my certification, and I still haven't been able to have a job, and I'm passionate about what it is we do. So my ultimate goal with this degree is to teach and or do research. I found, because I started in the spring and got thrown into research methods class and found that I really like the concept. I really like the why of things and trying to figure out like how things can be made better or just validation for what we do. So I'm really kind of focusing on that right now. So, and my little tidbits, let's see here. Oh, my husband and I just sold our house right at the end of stats class. And so I was stressed about stats, and we sold our house. We did for sale by owner like the same day that we put up the sign. We got a call and sold it within like a week. So now we live with my in-laws. So if you see, I've been like randomly clicking out of my video because people keep coming up to this door. I'm using my father-in-law's office right now because I don't really have an office space to have class. So I just, if you see me like leave every 5 minutes or something, it's because people keep interrupting. So I just need to lock the door so people won't come in. But yeah, that's about it.
All right. Good luck with that living arrangement. I would not want to live with my in-laws. You do what you have to do, right?
Yeah, we did the same thing for 6 weeks before we went down here. We sold our house the first weekend, but not my in-laws.
Yeah.
Well, we were able to pay off my husband's student loans with the amount of money that we made from our house. So
worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Holly. Check. We have a Holly and a Molly. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. My name's Abby, and I'm still an undergrad. This is my senior year of college at Clemson, but I'm in a program called 4+1, and you finish out your senior year while taking your first year of master's classes. So I'm not certified as a CTRS yet, but I did just do my internship at the Carolina Center for Behavioral Health. It's an acute care facility for a lot of different populations. We have people with dementia, adolescents with anxiety, depression, and then you've got adults with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideations, and then we have a unit for substance abuse, and there's another unit for psychosis, like schizophrenia, bipolar, all kinds of. So yeah, it was very interesting. I kind of know now how not to do rec therapy at a psych place because I didn't have a very good experience, unfortunately. It was very hard. It didn't seem very rec therapy to me. It just seemed like activities. But now I kind of know, like, you know, what not to do.
It's valuable.
Yeah, I would say so. But so I really am into yoga. I was a competitive gymnast like my whole life since I was like 4 years old. And I found yoga here at Clemson. I took a class, and it was amazing, and I love everything it stands for. And so that's what I kind of want to research is just the benefits of yoga for people with mental illnesses or, you know, anything else. But you were talking about reducing your stress and stuff. That's kind of like what I was thinking of this summer during an internship. So that's kind of, you know, that's fun that I found someone. Because once you find a yogi, it's like, friends for life.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's about me. And then like a fun fact, my brother is a freshman at Clemson. He just moved in this weekend, and he's trying out for the football team tomorrow.
Yay!
So if you pray or like send good vibes, do all of that because I'm like so pumped for him, but I'm very stressed out for him.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Yay. That's gonna be hard.
It is. But we have lots of like we're like in like my dad is like friends with coaches and I coached. Oh, I used to be a gymnastics coach. I coached one of the coach's daughters. So we've been like going back and forth, like sending, you know, like videos to them about him and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all up to them.
Good vibes. Good vibes. Good vibes.
The guy that was the punter last year, he just graduated Andy Keatsall. My dad coached him in lacrosse since he was really little. So it was really weird. We like turn on TV and Andy's there.
That's awesome.
Got a ring now.
Yeah.
For him.
Exciting. Cool. All right. Good info. Thank you very much. Online peeps, we got Candace, Kayla, or Kate. I saw Candace's hand go like this, so we'll go with Candace.
I'll go. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm Candace. I recently graduated from UNC Greensboro in North Carolina. I just finished my internship about like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was with seniors in a day program, and I had a really good experience. What brought me here is I want to continue, or in undergrad we learned about research a little bit, but I wanted to learn more about it. I'm not sure exactly what I want to research yet, but I'm interested into exploring that. And fun fact about me, well, it's not really fun. I broke my thumb during my practicum, so now every time I bend it, it cracks, like it pops all the time.
Ooh, talking all these toes and thumbs. We're going to know each other real well by the end of this semester. All right. Thank you. Welcome, Candace. Finally, we get a, oh no, that's still North Carolina. We're not very diverse. No, some of our online PhD students, they bring some good diversity in. So guys, share your bios so that we can get some non-North Carolina blood flowing here. But it's okay. We like North Carolina.
Mark's coming next semester, maybe, possibly. He's from
somewhere. I don't know where he's from. IU. I just know that. But yeah. All right. Haley, you're the only one left in here.
Hi, I'm Haley Collins.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Haley Collins. I am also a 4+1 from Clemson University, a senior in grad school at the same time right now. Interesting. I did my internship at a VA hospital down in Augusta, and I worked with mental health, substance abuse recovery, in our PTSD clinic down there. And they're in the middle of transitioning the program, so like seeing them, I got to work a lot with them with doing treatment protocols and doing research. And so I kind of got the research bug a little bit, doing kind of that stuff.
Yay.
And through that, I kind of figured out some of my interests would be more of, there's not really much guidance in RT about duration or frequency of our services.
Nope.
You just kind of feel it out. And so I'd kind of like some more guidelines and figure out how to do that, or even like if faith-based interventions work better or worse, or what they relate to RT as well. So I'm kind of interested in. Cool. And interesting tidbit. I play guitar, kind of.
That's good.
First thing.
Okay, that's where it's doing. Well, welcome, Haley. And we got 2 more online, Kayla and Kate.
I can go. This is Kate. So, it was a little bit of a windy road for me to find rec therapy. I actually used to manage hotels and decided I wanted to get a different career path. So I was living in Asheville, North Carolina. So even though now I live in New Hampshire, I'm actually from the South and from North Carolina, and got course catalogs from every university that was in the area, and that's how I found the program at Western Carolina. So I went to Western Carolina a long time ago. I've been actually certified as a rec therapist for about 17 years. I've worked in the field for probably about 20 some, done very diverse roles with it. I've worked in culture change. I've worked with the Greenhouse Project and Dr. Bill Thomas. I don't know if some of you might be familiar with that work. I've worked with substance use disorders, mental health and recovery. My main focus is long-term care, but the long-term care population is changing so much now that, you know, it's not the 90-year-old little lady that has dementia anymore. We're having a bunch of different, very complex individuals coming within our care. And so my hope is to elevate our field, to really show what rec therapy can do and try to create more of an inroads. And a couple of you talked about your experience with long-term care, and I think it was, I don't know, Abby, I can't remember, the one that said that she was more like activities instead of rec therapy. And I think that's very typical. And I think some of it is because there's not enough evidence out there. There's not enough research. There's not enough evidence-based programming. So my hope is I'm very excited, and part of why, you know, online, because I have a full-time job, I need to be able to go online. But I'm most excited about the research element of this, because there's so much that we need to have data for, and we need to be developing evidence-based programs. And I think that the more we do that, the more we can elevate our field, show our outcomes, hopefully start filling out the O section of the MDS and see where we could get some reimbursements, that there might be more jobs for people that are trained and looking at really being professionals in the field and elevating it from activities to therapy. So that's kind of what my hope is.
Yeah.
Interesting fact, my niece actually started as a freshman at Clemson this year. So I started at the graduate program and she started as a freshman. And so she actually sent me a shirt that said Clemson Grit on it. So whenever I sat through the virtual orientational Monday, I took a picture and sent it to her so that we were sharing the experience. So it's kind of cool. Many years separating us, but it's nice to have that shared experience. So.
That's very cute. So I think this was really interesting to hear. I think some of you guys are already on the same soapbox that I am on about not having enough research in our field. So we should have a lively discussion in this class. I mean, we might be preaching to the choir, but that's okay. So, you know, we can get the fires burning, and you have to have those fires burning in order to make a difference. And so maybe every spring, you know, our profession will have this influx of type of things, all because of this class. So way to go, guys. All right, we got one more. Kayla. Where are you? There you are. Can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. I can read your lips though. I've gotten really good at reading people's lips through this technology. Can you hear me now? It's really easy to see what it means.
You know?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My headphones don't have a microphone. So I'm Kayla. I graduated from UNC Wilmington, and I'm actually still here in Wilmington. I started in a clinical setting. I worked on a spinal cord injury unit up in New York. That was my internship, and then I moved to New Jersey to do the same kind of thing. And loved it, loved the population, fell in love with adaptive sports, all that good stuff. And then got a call from a nonprofit here in Wilmington that I volunteered with in college, having an opportunity to just do adaptive sports and community recreation. And I said, a chance to go back to the beach, absolutely. So I took it, and I currently run 3 different programs. I have the Miracle League, which is baseball, totally inclusive, all ages, all abilities, and then group fitness for adults with disabilities. And then I also do Project SOAR, which is a grant-run program through the VA, adapted sports for veterans, which I absolutely love. When I originally went to rec therapy, my plan was to go into the Navy DPT program at Baylor. I was going to go into the Navy as a physical therapist. Obviously fell in love with rec therapy, and that was not the plan, but still have that connection to the military, love working with my vets, and that's definitely what my research will probably be. We just got a couple people scuba certified, and like hearing their experience of like how therapeutic it is being under the water was just like the coolest thing ever. So I'd love to do something with that because there's really not a lot of research on it. And I fell in love with research. I actually worked with Dr. Crow, Dr. Brandy Crow. I know she's at Clemson now, but her class was like the most terrifying class. Everybody talked about it. Like, it was super scary. Nobody wanted to take it, and I loved it. Like, loved the research, loved learning, loved doing all of it. So that's why I'm here. And fun fact, I also have 2 cats, and they'll probably join us for class once in a while because they love my computer. Like, this one's like chilling like right here. So they'll probably join us for class pretty often because they don't have any boundaries. So
yes, it's a good thing that I teach class here because I have a cat as well, and she likes to stick her butt in my camera.
They sit right on the laptop.
They do.
Yeah.
Or
They just walk right over it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cats and dogs, they're all present in class. All right. Sweet. All right. That's everybody. So Kayla, you are sometimes going to be here and sometimes not.
Yes. Yeah. We run an archery program for our vets on Wednesdays, like 2 or 3 Wednesdays a month. So sometimes I'll be here, sometimes I won't.
Okay. So were you here in class right at the very beginning?
Yes.
Did you see all of the how to tech about how to do Canvas and everything and how to log into Zoom? Okay, good, because I wasn't recording that. So
yep, we'll be good.
Okay, good. The other 3 asynchronous students already know how to do Zoom and everything. So you guys got it. All right. So this is everybody. Everybody? We're good. Now we're all family, right? So we do actually have a topic for today to go over. I had notes. We probably won't get through all of it, but that's totally fine because I think this is more important to have everybody get to know each other. So some of you guys have an idea about what you want to do for research. Others don't, and that's completely fine. But over the next 2 weeks, we will have to get an idea. And even if you don't have something right now, and in the next 2 weeks you just come up with something clunky, it's okay. We'll start there and we'll refine it as we go in this class, hopefully to a point where you can turn something in and have something viable for our project in this class. But again, don't feel like the topic that you just threw out or the interest area that you just threw out like nails you to your dissertation or your thesis or your project. That is not the case. We're just here to talk about ideas. So I hope, did you guys all get a chance to read through the Bedini article? So when we talk about articles, I'm only ever going to really refer to them by the author's last names, and that's just kind of how we talk about research. So let's get used to doing that. I love that article. I feel like it's a total call out to research in rec therapy and states a lot of kind of the things that we talked about, we mentioned in terms of why we're here, why we're doing what we're doing. But before I'm not going to like re-lecture and quiz you on what was in the article. I'll ask some questions about it. But before that, I just want to start with this. When you hear the word research, How do you feel? What do you think? Like, what's going through your mind? What's going?
Information overload.
Hang on one second, Jake. For those of you in class, don't unmute your mics anymore. Just talk loud enough that it can be picked up through mine.
I'm really bad, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
I didn't know you were going to use it, so I didn't
Yeah,
know you
it's okay. So
Don't unmute them.
don't unmute yourself. Just talk loud enough that, so stay muted. Yeah, just talk loud enough that it can be picked up here. But yeah, Jake, you were saying something. When you hear the word research, what do you think? How do you feel?
Information overload.
Okay.
I feel
Like you said, there's 100 things out there that you're not going to use, and then finally find like one, and then you just have to keep looking over and 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 over. Till you find exactly what you need.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, and what do you actually use? Okay.
I think part of the article that really resonated with me was the lack of preparation. I felt personally in my undergraduate career, we weren't really prepared, so I felt intimidated at first when I thought about research. That sort of was turning into excitement, but that really resonated because I felt like our research course was really confusing and all over the place. So it was super prepared to like take it head on or anything like that.
How many of you guys had an actual formal research methods class in your undergrad?
Western.
Okay, so Western. All the Western peeps, you guys are raising your hand. Okay, no, Holly. What about you, Candace? Kate? Kayla, yes, you did.
I don't think they had it back in my day.
I honestly don't remember I don't remember anything specifically research oriented because I hadn't even contemplated that as a professional goal until I started this program.
Yeah, it's really kind of hit or miss as to whether or not undergrad degree programs in rec therapy or rec in general, whatever, have research methods. So we don't have a formal research methods class in PRTM here at Clemson in the undergrad. We have this thing called creative inquiry where you may be paired with a faculty member who's doing research and you can kind of see research, the process through working on their research, but it's not required of everybody to do that. It used to be part of the requirement for RT, but it's not anymore. And so our students don't get it. But yeah, a lack of preparation, certainly. I mean, if it's weird because when you look at the job analysis, task, domains, whatever, research is in there.
Yeah.
But are we educating at the undergrad level enough to actually be able to do it? I think the general consensus is no. I mean, some people might be like the anomaly program, like Western, or even somebody who's like going above and beyond, and I'm going to do a stats class, instead of, I don't know, I took stats as an undergrad and cried. And so then I ended up taking 3 years of French so I wouldn't have to do any more math. So, I wouldn't say that I was a good example of going above and beyond in terms of trying to learn stats or research or anything like that. But there's really not any consistency in terms of the preparation. And then, of course, the master's level, you don't need it to practice as a rec therapist. Almost every master's program has a thesis option. But not everybody chooses thesis because a lot of, for example, our online students are in a non-thesis program. And so if you come in at Clemson, if you come in person, you don't have an option, it's thesis. But if you come online, it's project, and you can do like a heavy project like unto a thesis, or you can do a more typical project, which is not so much like a thesis. But in other places, you could do in person and do a project to have to get out of doing the more research heavy type of project. So it's really, hit or miss with the preparation. And then you bring into question the whole debate about master's level entry and what the required skill level is at master's level. And there's a lot of people who are like adamant about absolutely not master's level. We are fine with a bachelor's degree. But then there's a whole group of people that say, no, we can't perform, we can't measure up to OT, PT, speech, whatever, who require those higher level degrees. And because they have that higher level of training and preparation, they are better practitioners, whatever. So there's lots of different arguments for both ways.
It's almost like when I think of research, I think like you're proving your point, whether you're right or whether you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because like people in the medical field don't view rec therapy as important.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in my internship, I just felt like whenever we put a document in a patient chart, it was just being overlooked, or like nobody talked about it. So like having research to back up what you're doing and being able to do it like at the master's level, I feel like is so important for the future, and like especially for now. I just feel like if you're doing something with someone and it's supposed to be therapeutic, you need to be able to say why I'm doing this and what are the benefits of this and what are you going to receive out of it. You can't just be like, oh, well, I could do this. Like, I'm just not for that. Like, I want it to be like set in stone, like, you know,
more definitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Some of you guys have mentioned your experience with research. Some of you have it, some of you don't, and that's totally fine. As a rec therapist, we kind of already do research. It might not be like big R, capital R research. It's like little r research, but it's built into the API process in terms of assessment and evaluation. But there are varying levels of rigor with that, such that it's totally dismissed in one place, but in another facility, it might be, you know, those are the information that you get from those documents is good enough that you could then, you know, take it to the next level and publish something off of that or whatever. So program evaluation counts as research, maybe a little R research, maybe big R research, depending on how rigorous it is. We already do it. And so hopefully through the process of this class, we won't be so scared of the R word of research, right? It's already built into what we're doing. Somebody said in here that, Gina, you said you found research to be fun and you loved it. Awesome. I mean, at first I was a little scared of it, but once you start doing it and see, I think the practical application of it, instead of like research up in like abstract land where people are just like picking apart things to, you know, knowledge for knowledge's sake, which is good, you know, but I like to be on like concrete land where my feet are planted on the ground and this is what it's going to mean. How do I use this in my job? And that's what I'm hoping this class will get us to, that point that at the end we can see the value in using research to be a better practitioner. That's what this entire class is about.
Molly, you may have had or other Western people may have had the same experience, but I feel like, so when I was in undergrad, I really enjoyed consuming research. I enjoyed reading the articles and looking at the stuff for PEC's class and all that. But I realized that when I graduated, that I had been really well trained on how to research at Western, like how to use their tools and all the stuff. And now after I graduated, I didn't even know where to look, like to find these articles or do or consume any research. So I feel like I was very well trained in researching at Western. But
we are very lucky when you're connected to a university in terms of access to resources.
Exactly.
Those resources are not as readily available when you're not connected to our search engines. But I will say this, Google Scholar is amazing and can get you access. And it's weird because don't we always say never use Wikipedia? Never. That's true. Never use Wikipedia as a source. But like Google Scholar is a good option and it can find you a lot of stuff if you don't have access to a university library. And we'll talk about searching in here on how to find articles. So if it's been a while or you've never done it, don't worry. We'll get there. But you can connect your Google Scholar to the university's library and it'll search at the same time that it's searching like the big World Wide Web. But you're right.
Yeah.
Like you learn a way to do it, but outside of the university setting, there's not access.
Yeah, once I graduated, I felt super disconnected to rec therapy as a profession, especially because I was working in a nursing home and I had the same experience. They referred to me as party girl, and super insulting. But yeah, so I felt super disconnected from rec therapy. And then I came last November to visit and I met with Dr. Lewis and I just got so excited to talk to somebody about rec therapy again. I didn't realize how much I had missed it. So yeah, I just don't want to have that same experience that when I graduate from Clemson, all of a sudden I'm disconnected again. So
well, to some degree will be, but hopefully through the process of the degree program, you'll learn where to access other resources. Okay. And to be honest, part of what I hope that you get out of this class and this whole degree is how to advocate better for our profession. If that means going to your boss and saying, we need a subscription to a journal.
Yeah.
But with a master's degree and with the knowledge of how to use that information and that as a resource, you can better fight for it instead of just like, we need this because I don't really know why, but we need it. Somebody told me, exactly, no. So the whole point is that you're armed with more knowledge to be a better advocate for our profession.
Yeah.
We are horrible advocates for ourselves in rec therapy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
In my master's program, I had the
Is
luxury
that a duck?
That's my dog.
Yeah. Jake, mute your mic.
My bad.
Online people, you should have your mics muted while we're discussing things for random pancakes and duck options. All right, sorry.
So what I was just going to say was research, when I think of research being from the behavioral health aspect of it, I automatically think, oh my God, I'm so nervous and overwhelmed and anxious about it. But as I was able to complete my master's while working professionally full time, I used anything and everything that I could. And I made programs and I submitted them to our administration. And they then came to me and said, hey, this works really good in this program. Let's do it in oncology. And I was like, sure, yes. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to research oncology.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know anything about this. But I think being a consumer of research is one thing, but then really getting people out there to then apply it.
Yeah.
And be
Being
confident.
a producer of research.
Yeah.
There's two sides to this coin.
Mm-hmm.
You brought it up the consumer side, and then being able to apply it, use it, and then continue to create it.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, one of the programs is gone because I'm gone. And I think that's a huge thing. If you've got someone in the field using it and being a good advocate for it and being that person to go to, I was having psychologists come to me in pair and wanting to do research programs with pet therapy and nurses from other universities and everything, but I'm gone.
Yeah.
And there's no one to replace that because there's just not a lot of people in the field that are practicing it like they're supposed to.
Well, there is, talking about, evidence and justification for why we do what we do. We don't just publish research, so we publish, as faculty, we publish research because that's our job, and if I want to keep my job, I have to publish.
Right.
But my personal, agenda in my research is to publish applied research that matters to the field, because I don't just want it to publish and live out there in publication land and nobody reads that stuff. I want it to be there so that, let's say they have somebody who steps into your position now that you're here, but they don't know how to do it, but they can find all that information somewhere and do it. And hopefully you left behind some type of binder that says step 1, step 2. Exactly.
Like programs, like huge, yeah.
And that's awesome. And so to take it and then develop it and build it and implement it the way that they're going to have to learn some things. And so there are some people who like to do research, I don't know, maybe in rec therapy, that just gets read and it doesn't impact practice at all. And that's more like conceptual research, abstract type of stuff. And that's fine because that contributes to knowledge, right? But it's like up here in abstract land, and that's okay. But that in practice, we don't live up in abstract land, right? We live down here on the earth, and I need to know how to work with a veteran with PTSD and TBI, a veteran with polytrauma. Somebody tell me how to do this. And that's where research can come in handy if it's out there. But if it's not out there, what are your options?
I mean, I have to totally second that because, working in the field, you're busy and you need to find the right stuff. And you're hoping there's someone else that's gone before you that's really applied it to the field, that it's written in a way that you could create or replicate the programs. You know what the key elements were, what they used, what the outcomes were. And it's hard to find that type of applied research. And I really hope that, this we'll be able to get better about that because, one, reimbursement's tied to outcomes. OT, PT, all those guys have done a great job of documenting outcomes. They have put themselves up to where their services are valuable. And that's why at a master's level, they're still getting paid. And let's talk reality about pay, that, they're getting paid for their education. They're getting paid for their efforts. It's taken them time. Gina, you and I, we've been around the field for a while, especially in long-term care. You probably remember how OTs were 25 years ago. They've worked on it, and a lot of it's their body of research. And even now, what I have to do when I put together programs is I have to go to OT journals and see what they've done, because a lot of times they are doing some pretty cool modalities for some of the similar goals.
One of my first facilities that I worked at, it was the occupational therapist who was in charge of the activities, recreation, department. It took them years before they got a CTRS in there. And things sure changed when they did. And I appreciate that because I've been able to apply everything that I've learned in working with seniors and be able to have an actual therapeutic program for folks. So,
well, and that's interesting. In Massachusetts, they just created regs around dementia care. And if someone is not certified or is working to get certified as a recreational professional, actually a CTRS can't even consult over their program. It has to be an OT in the state regs.
You're kidding.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I was just going to say, I worked in long-term care for many years, and we've never been reimbursed. And ATRO is actually pretty involved in advocating for rec therapists to be reimbursed in long-term care, and they just made a decision. They said, we're not going to do it because there is enough proof that it makes a difference, and that's because there's lack of research.
Guys,
Even
this is
like you said, like OTs and PTs, they're doing all that.
Right. Even in a clinical setting, like I watched the occupational therapists do recreation therapy, and I was like, guys, like you can call me, I can do that. And like they just didn't. Even in a clinical setting, like I was treated as the person who runs bingo, who does the Thanksgiving parties, who does like this, that, and the other. And I watched the occupational therapist run an adaptive cooking group, and I'm like that's so rec therapy, it's ridiculous. But there's not enough proof to back up the fact that I can do that. And there's so much literature out there that OT can do that already. So it's hard working in a setting like that and sitting back and not having a say in a modality that's your profession's.
Well, and not only that, with the occupational therapists that I've worked with a lot in the past have always been like, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't understand that those kinds of programs are things that you can do. But I've also worked on some really good teams where they were like very supportive of the rec therapists and very involved in making sure they share that the abilities to run programs that are therapeutic and whatnot. So I've been pretty lucky over my years of experience.
I think you guys are providing some fantastic examples of a lot of things. One, how our scope of practice kind of overlaps a little bit with OT, probably more OT than with PT, right? Mm-hmm. But why is that? Part of that is one, because we're not good advocates for ourselves, and OT grabbed that rein early on, so did PT, and they fought for their legislation to cover them and, reimburse and all that type of stuff. Two, they have a body of knowledge that supports what they do, way bigger and more robust than what we have. And we are slow to produce it and really bad at consuming it. Okay, so all of you who have practice experience out there, how many of you have access to journals through your facility? Like 2. I can only
I purchased my own. My facility doesn't, but I have all mine in my back.
Your facility doesn't. So how about your facility?
Mine does. I work for the government, so we just have all of our research stuff online. But
anomaly.
But also to the point that Kayla and Gina were making, like, for example, I have a new supervisor, and we're going through this problem where he's like backwoods rec therapy, where he's still on the factor of like, we're all gonna have a cookout and bingo, and I hate bingo. Like, I think that is the stupidest thing ever, if you're truthfully honest. It should be an assistant doing it, not a rec therapist, but that I digress. But like, I'm being told that through the VA, through our government, I'm no longer cleared to do a healthy cooking skills group, and that now I have to have a registered dietitian with me because it's official and stuff. So I totally get where like Kayla has the frustration, and it's like competencies in the government don't necessarily register all the time. And so having, I guess, research, like I just literally threw a stack of paper of evidence-based research on my supervisor's desk just to prove a point, because he clearly doesn't understand what I'm talking about or like where I'm at. But I think that's also a generational thing, because through my time through a CTRS, like I shadowed a crap ton of people, and there were some CTRSs who were, I guess they were peg time. They were in the 70s and the 60s, and they are totally not with the whole mastery thing. They don't get the evidence-based research. Like, they weren't on the peg train, as I like to say. But like now some of these younger kids are on it. Like some of these, I think a few of you in person are pretty young, but they also have the factor of like we're getting a lot of students that are coming through that want to do evidence-based research, but then they see how much lack of rec therapy research there are, and they just switch to OT and they switch to PT, and it's like, well, what's the point of you going through a program if you're going to switch? And so I think that's a lot of problems, is that, I mean, I'm not that much older than y'all, but at the same time, 5 years makes a real big difference, and for me, it's really hard to like go back through and be like studious and like write my research paper. Like I'm writing my thesis paper and I just stare at it a lot of times and I don't really touch it because it's hard and I don't, so that's another problem in research. I feel like it's just the writing the paper.
Well, okay, so you're hitting on something, a totally different topic here, but relevant to this class, is who wants to read and who has time to read a 25-page research paper as a practitioner? You've got your caseload, you've got a crap ton of stuff to do, right? Okay. I mean, personally, I don't like writing 20 or 25-page papers, but if the page limit is this and there's expectation for certain amounts of certain content in articles for journals, then I write it so that it'll get accepted, right? But the reality is that you don't have time to read it. And I know that because I used to be a practitioner and I didn't have time to read it. So I have to find this like middle ground of what will get published, but what will get read. But even if I write something that is readable, consumable by a practitioner with a heavy caseload, if you don't have access to it, it's like toilet paper, right? It's not, it is what it is and it's gone that next day. Okay, so part of what I'm hoping that we can learn in this class is how to produce research that is consumable, quick and easy, not 20 pages, 3 pages, but still gives you all of the evidence, so tons of citations, like half a paragraph of citations. Woo! That's probably the only time that you can do that in a paper, right? Okay, a lot of evidence to support your argument in a really condensed format. And it's hard to do that in 3 pages. Is probably the hardest part of this class in terms of the assignments. Like the lit review in 8 pages is going to be hard, but the KTP part of it in 3 pages is going to be even harder because you have to take that 8 pages down to 3. Yay! Okay, but so KTPs kind of come out of, the medical world, and this is how I discovered them, is Marika was telling me about them, that she was, where was she? I want to say it like the NIH hospital in DC, and she was walking through and saw kind of like one of those like a notebook where it's all sticky at the top and you can tear a page off, but it had a modality on there and said, I can't remember what she said it was, but like yoga for Parkinson's or something like that. It was 1 page front and back, had all of this evidence, what the outcomes were, what populations it's been used with, what the best practices were, how many times, duration, frequency that you should do in a program, and then flip it over and it had a little bit more information on the back and then a whole bunch of citations. And it was a whole notebook of that. You could just tear it off. They call them tear sheets. It was just hanging on the wall. Anybody who walked by it who is interested in doing that activity with that population could just take it and go. And I was like, what? Why don't we have this that is evidence-based practice in a consumable format. Why don't we have this in rec therapy? That's where this class kind of is meant to develop something like that. That's what the KTP assignment is about, that we could produce something usable that is still evidence-based and still quality and still has evidence to back it up, and slap that down on your supervisor's desk. 2 pages instead of 20 pages, right? And say, look, this works and here's some evidence to back it up. And if you can read this and give me the okay, then I'll collect some data on it and we'll prove, we never say prove, but I will demonstrate to you its usefulness.
I think also language too, like it needs to be in layman's terms. And that's one of the things that, you're working with people that there's a varying level of educational backgrounds. And again, I'm taking it from the long-term care field. And if we get too tied up in technical words, I've seen people just glass over it and they won't even go there.
Absolutely. And so part of the KTP thing is digestible, consumable, length, and, non-super technical jargon and statsy heavy stuff is totally absent from it. What were you going to say?
I have 2,000 now, and I hope I don't offend anybody with the second one.
Talk loud.
I was wondering though, since after the special editions, would they ever be interested in doing something like the tear page for various populations and
like the AJRT journal or the ATRA annual journal?
Annual?
I don't think so, because so AJRT and the ATRA annual are only available to members. But do you guys know what percentage of the rec therapy certified rec therapists are members of ATRA?
6.
It's a super small percentage. Yeah. So we have some thousands of rec therapists, certified rec therapists, but those who are members of ATRA are super tiny, and so they don't have access. And so yes, but no.
And then
But what would be more useful, though? Producing that in your facility, so that, let's say you work in an interdisciplinary where you've got OT, PT, speech, and whatever, and nursing, and this and that. And for example, you don't want to be the party girl. Yeah. So you produce something that shows evidence of the activities that you use, the process by which you do them. It's a little bit more rigorous, and somebody is going to see that and be like, oh, the party girl's legit. Woo-hoo, party.
Well, they had me throwing parties for this. So they had a regional like president or something, and we were in a staff meeting, and she said, "You're the party girl, right? You need to be throwing staff parties." And I'm like,
please tell me that you stood up and said no.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, totally. And I had to fight tooth and nail to be able to get in on like family interdisciplinary care meetings, and they're like, why does activities need to be here?
Yeah, I was always asked to plan staff activities also. They're like, oh, you could lead a staff activity committee. I'm like, no, that's not what I do.
That's not what I do.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, one of my residents, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but he was my favorite. I told him he actually is from this area, so he was really excited I was going to Clemson, and he's like, what kind of degree would you get for activities? What did they teach you? How to do bingo? And I was like, no. That's just
that's expected to hear from clients and patients, not your boss.
Right, exactly.
Or the president of something, or a clinical director who's like, I know you're supposed to be licensed and certified, but we'll just slip you in a gray area.
Yeah.
People just aren't educated.
They just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it took the nurses a long time to understand. You got bingo, I got underwater basket weaving. Yeah, party girl was nice compared with
Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah, I can't repeat that. I'm a senior. I just lost the okay, sorry. One of the things that I was going to ask about is you guys mentioned to make the material readable, and somebody mentioned lay people.
Mm-hmm.
In the field that I came from, we're not lay people, and we're not considered lay people. Lay people were CNAs or behavioral health techs.
Not in the know.
Yeah,
like
kind of like we considered them like first
civilians.
Yeah, yeah, kind of people who aren't specialized or educated in the field that they're providing service for. Okay. So we would then get confused with the behavioral health tech that decided to color with the patient because they thought that was cool right before our leisure development group, which utilized arts and crafts supplies. And so what's the difference? And so I think when you're working on communicating evidence-based material to people, it does need to be readable and it does need to be approachable, but it also needs to be very
not watered down.
Yeah.
Or dumbed down or whatever the other terms are.
People don't
just doesn't have to be technical. Because, I mean, what's your favorite part of the articles? The methods and results section, right? These are good. Right? No, because nobody wants to read about SPSS stuff and SAS and blah, blah, Excel and all that type of stuff because we don't really learn. I mean, I like stats, so I like that part. But not everybody does, and that's okay. But in a tear sheet type of situation, that's not really pertinent to the information that a practitioner needs to be able to do their job the best way possible.
Implications for our team.
Exactly. You should have that section in your KTP. Based on the literature reviewed to this point, recommendations for recreational therapists should be blah, blah, blah. That sentence must show up in there, by the way. We'll get there. That'll be at the end of the semester. But that's what kind of information you'll have in a KTP. That's what will come out of this class at the end after we've spent a whole semester on this soapbox of research and practice. And I love it. This was a great conversation tonight. You guys are basically teaching the class for me and I didn't have to do anything. So as long as we can have discussions like this every week, this semester will fly by, and all I will do is just kind of poke and prod and keep us on track. But you guys are already taking it there, and this is fantastic. So, and look at that. We really did weirdly make it through like all of my notes from the article. So look at that. We just talked about an article without ever really talking about the article. This is how it should go. This is like cool grad classness right now. Awesome. So that's really class tonight, and good job. Next week, we've got a number of articles to read. So let me pull up really quick the TIS form. I mentioned we'd look at it very briefly.
I got a question while you're doing that.
Yep.
With the weekly readings for next week, we just write 3 questions or a summary, or not a summary in like what we wrote, but like a summary of what we thought and how we can use it in our daily lives and profession, or would you prefer questions?
If you have questions, like I'm totally lost, I don't understand this concept, or this doesn't make sense to me, or whatever, ask the questions and we'll address them in class. I'd rather have that than this is really cool type of a thing, although that's good too if that's, you don't have any questions. If you don't have any questions, do what you said, some type of application of how you'll use this knowledge or whatever in practice. I just don't want like a spit back of the notes. This was about this, that I know I've read these articles 100 times. I've even wrote a couple of things that we're going to read in class, so bear with me as I like shamelessly plug my work, but it's pertinent to this class. So anyways, yeah, questions are best. If you don't have any questions, then application to practice, your practice. Hang on one sec, I'm going to share my screen so we can look at the TIS form. I have it posted in Canvas in both PDF and Word format, depending on what type of programs you use on your computer. If you're like a Mac user with the Mac programs, or if you have regular Word, whatever. Somebody inevitably always emails and says, I need it not in Word. And that's fine.
And you want this filled out electronically and sent to you.
Uploaded to Canvas. Yep, so in Canvas, in the assignments, there are all of the assignments for class have a little designated drop area in Canvas, and all of them have a file attachment option, I believe. If not, just email me, but I'm pretty sure I set them all up correctly. So here's your TIS form. So as you're thinking about your idea for your project, thesis, dissertation, whatever, but topic for this class, briefly, a couple of sentences, describe it in there. So yoga for something or other, yoga for something or other, yoga, everybody's yoga. Okay. I'm just kidding. No, but like half of you guys are.
I like yoga.
That is an option, actually. A group thesis is an option for in-person people. Yep. Sorry, online people.
You guys feel best.
Not group option for you. Master's level group option. But seriously, big, it's like 2 studies in one.
Wow.
But if you're interested in yoga and you're interested in yoga, I highly recommend you guys talk to each other. Like,
did you say that?
I can't no, I just couldn't. Or you and you.
No.
I heard through the grapevine that you are interested.
But I like you.
Okay, we'll see. So anyway, sorry, I digress. Briefly describe your topic in here. Again, I'll give you feedback on this stuff. So do a search, provide some information in here about what your topic is. So what population are you looking at? What type of treatment modality or activity or whatever you want to use in their interventions. If there's any alternative words to describe that. So what is the alternative to yoga? Gentle, yeah, mindfulness, things like that. Meditation, exactly. So it's all about, in terms of finding stuff online, it's all about the combination of words that you use. So the more options you have. So this is just it's prompting you to think about what all the different terms are that you can use to search. So just fill in these boxes here with that. If you're looking at a potential outcome or a specific outcome, so yoga for people with Parkinson's for balance and mobility. That's like all your boxes right there. Okay, so synonyms, that's like other alternative words for it. So yoga, what would be a synonym, meditation, whatever, Parkinson's, or neurological conditions, neurodegenerative, whatever. So come up with all those potential words that describe the same thing. All right, what databases are you going to search? Google Scholar. That's okay. Not Wikipedia.
Wait, are you saying to use Google Scholar?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll talk about this more next week, and I'll show you how to link it. No, use it. Not Google, but you will.
We just have a huge search engine to use at Western, so that was the go-to thing.
We do have a big one here too, but you just connect it together and it gives you best of both worlds. And so I'll demonstrate how to do that next week. But I want to know what you're searching. So I'll show you also how to search specific databases like the medical and the nursing databases and all that stuff where rec therapy isn't usually tagged in those databases, but OT and speech are and PT and blah, blah, blah. So we can still get access to their literature. And when you're searching to everything, I'm not asking you to look for only rec therapy specific literature. If you find something, great. You're not likely going to find anything because we know our knowledge base is like this big in comparison. So whatever you find in whatever field, use it. Range of years that you need to search through. So I would encourage you not to go anything older than 2000 because that's 17-year-old literature. So maybe even, I know all of a sudden we feel really old, right? So maybe nothing older than 2010. I don't know. You have to kind of know and explore your literature database, literature base, whatever. If you find something that is, like if you're talking about self-efficacy, there are certain articles that you must cite because they are foundational articles and they're old from like the 60s or something like that. If you don't include that, I'll think that you haven't done enough of a search because those are key articles. You can't not include them in your literature review or your annotated bibliography. So I would say have a date range and stick to it unless there's something that's like, this is the groundbreaking article and it's older than that. And as long as you can make a case for it, it's okay. And then start searching. So again, I'll teach you next week about how to search and how to put like commas and colons and quotes and all that type of stuff in the databases because that teaches that it searches differently depending on how you write those search terms in there. So then this section is just about what combination of terms, what did it return? So I don't actually need to see any articles at this stage. I just want to know how you're searching and where you're searching and what you're finding. If you come back with results, number of articles off of your first search, and it's like 5, maybe you went too specific with that first group of terms. So let's broaden it out a little bit. And then you get a second search back with like 5,000, better. But then we need to refine a little bit more because there's probably half of that that's total garbage. And then the rest of it, you have to really fine tooth comb that. So that's what this process is just teaching you how to do is searching. Let's get it started and see what's out there. If there's legitimately zero, you can't find anything, one published piece about your topic, then you have found a weird hole in the literature. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also a really difficult thing. And so, because if you want to fill a hole, but you have nothing to support your argument, that's hard too. So we'll work on it. Just start working on this. This is due in 2 weeks, so don't freak out about it next week. But yeah, that's it.
For the second page of the form, we're just plugging in numbers and words. We're not actually like writing a complete sentence in each box. Okay.
Only complete sentence is like that very first one describing your topic.
Do you want us to be really specific in describing our topic, or do you want us to like, should we start broad now or should we start specific now? Like what's the best way to do it?
Just put something and then I can give you feedback on too specific or too broad. That's the best way. Again, it's a rolling process. Every time you talk about it, it gets a little bit more clear. Whether that's making it more broad because it's too specific. Like I want to research, what's the hot yoga where you sweat all the time?
Hot yoga.
Bikram yoga.
Oh,
I want to research the effects of Bikram yoga for people with left side neglect and probably a little bit too specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have to broaden that out just a little bit. So just make an attempt. Come next week with an attempt at what your topic is. I don't expect that you've searched a ton of stuff, but just come with some topic and I can give you feedback on yes or no, broad, specific, and that. Okay? Good job, first day of class. Well, first night of class. Look at that, 2.5 hours goes by that fast when we're having fun. It does. All right, next week, same link, same time, same place. And I look forward to seeing everybody. Good night. Have a good night. Hey, Tara, do you want to stay online? Tara, do you want to stay online real quick? Cool. Tara, this is everybody. Everybody, this is Tara.